Today on Homeworthy, we're exploring the world of family homes, where creativity and clever design maximize every inch of space. First, we'll step into a New York City apartment where a family of 5 thrives in just 600 square feet. Then, we'll visit another New York City home full of innovative solutions for living, working, and playing in a compact space. Finally, we'll head near Philadelphia to a home where vibrant children's rooms and family fun take center stage. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Heather.
And I'm Michael.
And welcome to our 600 square foot apartment in New York City. Come on in.
Before today's episode, click the join button below to support all of the storytelling we do on this channel. Our growing community of members help to directly fund more videos so we can capture these extraordinary homes from around the world. So join today to receive early and exclusive access to new Homeworthy videos.
Hi, I'm Heather Summers. I am a content creator.
And I'm Michael Summers. I'm a law student at NYU.
And today we are in our 600 square foot apartment on the Upper West Side in New York City. We share the apartment with each other, obviously, and our 3 young daughters who are all ages 6 and under. We rented this apartment in 2021. We were living in Sacramento, California at the time, knowing we were going to be moving to New York for Michael to start going to school. And we're having to apartment hunt from California, knowing that we weren't going to be able to come to New York and physically see apartments. We were just kind of trusting Zillow and Street Easy to show us enough to make a decision and hope that it turned out okay. So yeah, we were shooting to live on the Upper West Side, and this apartment popped up, and we loved that it was across from the park, that it had 2 bedrooms. We were really excited about 2 bedrooms as we have 3 kids, and we're kind of gearing up to potentially have to live in a 1-bedroom apartment with a Murphy bed situation. So thankfully we didn't have to do that. Saw the apartment, there was a realtor that came by and FaceTimed us and showed us the apartment, and we just kind of went for it, hoping that it would work out. So we're really grateful that it did, that we're happy with the apartment, the way that it's set up, and the location is amazing. So we're super grateful.
Yeah, I think we prioritize location number 1, and then of course it being across from the park, as Heather said, is amazing. But the ability to find this place too, that ended up being such a great apartment for its own part, was really something we're excited about.
Moving to New York City was definitely a bit of a shock, not in a negative way, but just in a logistical way of like how we had to, make it work to live here with 3 kids. We lived in Sacramento for 3 years and had a house that was not big, but not as small as this. And so we definitely had to downsize quite a bit when we realized we were going to have to be living in 600 square feet with 5 people. So yeah, that was definitely a bit of a process, but I think it was nice to sell a lot of our stuff and start fresh, because what we didn't want was to force a lot of our furniture and things we had in California into a really small space. We knew that we were going to have to be thoughtful about the furniture we chose and the way we went about setting up the apartment to make it work and make sense.
I mean, I think we've never really needed a large space. We've always appreciated small spaces, but once we got into it, we really had to figure out how to make things work. And I think for the most part, it's been a really great fit. Of course, it comes with its challenges, but that's part of the fun too. Welcome to our living room. This space in our apartment actually fulfills 3 different functions. It's our living room, like I mentioned, also our kitchen, as well as our dining space.
And this is definitely and quite obviously a very multi-purpose space. And so we've, like we have in all of the rooms in our apartment, we've had to be really thoughtful about how we can make sure everything is functional while also not sacrificing any sort of design elements that we want to incorporate. And this cabinet right here, I feel like is a really good example of that. This is an antique piece that we found on Facebook Marketplace locally, and we have gotten really lucky with Marketplace finds, as we love to shop secondhand and find vintage and really unique pieces. So I love this one because I feel like it's both beautiful and also serves a purpose. We use it for storage as we have coffee mugs and kind of spillover spices and things that don't fit in the kitchen. And then under here we've got some cookbooks and things, and then there's a drawer here as well that just kind of keeps all those little kitchen knickknacks and all those types of things here. I also love the height. I feel like it helps kind of fill in this space. It's kind of a small wall here between the hallway and the door that goes into the girls' room, and so I feel like the height it just keeps it interesting over here in this corner, which could be a little bit random to fill.
And I would say the height is even helpful too. Like a little thing, we don't have many drawers, but we actually keep our silverware up here. But because it's above eye level, it just looks like a decorative basket rather than silverware.
This dresser we also found secondhand on Facebook Marketplace. I believe it's originally a Restoration Hardware dresser, so not an antique, but still secondhand, which again we love to do when we can. This one actually used to be in our bedroom, but we got a bigger piece to give us some more storage in there. And we were going to sell this one. We had a smaller table here for a while, but we just loved this dresser so much. We didn't really want to part with it and wanted to hold on to it for future homes and things. And we just weren't really ready to say goodbye to it. So we put it here thinking that maybe it was going to be too big. And it does take up quite a bit of space, but it has given us so much more storage here. We now use this to store like the kids' art supplies and things like that, crayons and all kinds of stuff. We homeschool, so we have lots of different things like that, school books and all kinds of stuff. So the storage that this has given us in this multi-purpose living, dining, homeschool, all of the above space has been amazing. One of my favorite things to do is to go to the New York flower market, and Michael always gives me a hard time because I tend to get flowers that are probably too big or he thinks are too big. But I love, especially in the springtime, these big branches. I love that they add height to this wall. And yes, again, stacked here on top of these magazines that give it some more height to fill this space going and to draw your eye upward. We also have our breaker box here, which is a bit of an eyesore. And so that has been a tricky thing to try to figure out how to work around. And so we added this framed picture of, actually, it's a little menu that we got from King Restaurant that's here in New York City. We went there for my 30th birthday. And so it has a bit of sentiment for us there to kind of try to hide the breaker box and do the best, that we could, trying to work with it being there and no options to move.
Our dining table, again, with some of the constraints of the space, we needed to find something that sat for people all the time. But luckily, actually, these chairs, which are great tuck under chairs, which provide more space. The one at our desk in our bedroom matches these four, and so we can bring a fifth in to all have family dinner. We really tried to prioritize, as busy as our schedule is, having dinner together, even if it's quick. Really because we just want to set that rhythm for our daughters, and then it's a good time for all of us to be together. But the table itself, really the only shape that would allow all those purposes to be achieved was a circle. And so it really actually allows us to kind of navigate the small space, either into the kitchen or into the more living area, but still having a large enough surface area for family dinner.
These chairs are amazing because they just tuck in so nicely with this table. The chairs are actually from Sunday's Furniture. And like Michael mentioned, we have one serving as a desk chair. And it just flows really nicely between the desk and the table whenever we need to move it back and forth. And we spend tons of time at this table. The girls love to color and draw. We do lots of Play-Doh and work and obviously eating and all kinds of things here at the table. So it's central because it has to be, but we also love that it's central because of all the different ways that we use it. Okay, we're gonna move to the other side of the room, which is our living room space. Over here we have two really cozy chairs. We've actually done a couple different things over here. We had a big long couch for a time and a plant over here on the wall. And it's kind of been a bit of trial and error over here to figure out what makes the most sense and is the most comfortable and functional because we're in here all the time. So we opted for two really cozy chairs. This one we got secondhand again through Kyo, which is an amazing secondhand marketplace that we love. Also this cozy Jenny Kane blanket, and then I love this round Studio McGee pillow over here. I just feel like it breaks up kind of the rectangular shape of the chairs and the bookshelves and gives it kind of a little bit of interest that I really like. And then this chair over here is also from Kayo, but it is a 6-penny chair, and we love the round shape to kind of give it a little bit of, to mix it up a little bit over here, that it's a different shape, different color to give it a little bit of interest, along with this wall sconce that we got. I believe this was Facebook Marketplace as well. And we have quickly learned that the more things you can get up and off the floor, the better. And so where you can hang things on the wall, that has been huge for us. So a big thing has been sconces, to not have floor lamps taking up space on the floor, or even like a side table that you put a lamp on top of. Being able to put lamps on the wall or sconces has been a great way to save space.
Yeah, and we used to have one of those old lights up on the ceiling that I feel like is in every apartment, at least in New York City, that maybe aren't the most aesthetically pleasing. And so we found this company, it's called Tulip, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Tulip shades. Yeah, so these are actually amazing, and I think it's the most brilliant renter-friendly solution ever. I just think it's the best. So these Tulip shades, you attach them with command strips, and so there are no tools. I did it all by myself, and you just stick it up there, and it just goes right around the light fixture that's there. It's genius. So we absolutely love these. We have them in all the rooms of our apartment, and these have been an amazing renter-friendly solution.
I've always loved to read, and Heather does as well, and so we wanted to make sure we had space for all of our books. And one place we put many of our books, there's some in our bedroom as well, but many of them are here in the living room, and we use these burrow shelves, which are really great because they're actually quite modular. Like, this is 4 shelves put together, and we were able to kind of wrap them around the corner. And we really wanted our books to be displayed because number one, I mean, they're beautiful, and number two, I think they tell a story about me and Heather and our family and what we're enjoying reading, what we have enjoyed reading in the past, and then just our general interests. And so, if we have people over and if we host them here, often we'll find people looking at the bookshelf. And I think that's a really cool thing because it actually drives conversation and connection.
Yeah, it serves as art. So I like that it's kind of a bolder statement and sort of a focal point when you walk in from the front door through the hallway entryway into here. It's kind of the first thing that your eye goes to, I think, because it wraps around the corner. It's just such a really cool and unique design feature that we've really enjoyed.
And we're fortunate too because it doesn't feel too heavy in a small room because we get such good light through this window, and the park's out there, and so it really helps with the room's overall balance.
We normally have toys everywhere. If you have kids in your life, you know that is inevitable. There are probably toys stuffed all under both of these chairs that you just can't see even right now. I like to joke with Michael that I stay home full time with the girls, and I'd like to joke with him that I feel like I just kind of clean in a circle all day, because with it being so small, you have to keep things up off the floor. You can't walk around. And so we have to, it's that balance between not wanting to manage the girls too much or manage their play and just like let them be and let them make messes, while also not going crazy, not being able to walk to the bathroom or into the other room. So it's definitely messy. We cleaned it up for you guys. We'll see how long it stays like this the rest of the day.
But we also make choices with our daughter's toys and what they play with. We try to really curate those things as well. And so
yeah, we don't have a lot of toys.
We don't have a lot of, just stuff. I mean, I think the things that they play with are things that are really special to them and sentimental, and they play with, for a while. More like imaginative play, situations. And so they'll move from room to room, and then we'll kind of clean up after them.
As they go.
Yeah. The building we live in is a pre-war walk-up. And in terms of the architectural style, I'd say it's fairly classic for New York City.
Yeah.
It fits the mold of many of the, mid-rise structures in Manhattan. What I think I love most is what the apartment enables. And I think for a lot of people looking at living in a 600 square foot apartment with 3 young daughters, and then of course us two with the busy schedule we have, they might see that as full of downside. But for me, in truth, I think this apartment enables a lot of closeness and intimacy between our family. There isn't really anywhere else to go when we're inside. Of course, we spend a lot of time in the city, but this apartment, I think breeds a lot of closeness between me and Heather, between us and our kids, between each of our daughters amongst themselves. And so that's my favorite thing about the apartment. And I think Heather has done a really good job of designing it so that it's a place we want to be, even though it's small. It feels very curated, and we're at home here. It doesn't feel, overwhelming. And so in that way, I think the choices that we have made in this apartment, facilitate really what it's all about, which is the closeness between the members of our family.
All right, now we're gonna make our way into the kitchen. This is it right here. It is obviously not very spacious, so that has taken some figuring out how to make it work as two people who love to cook. We have girls that love to help us cook, and we really enjoy, cooking together as a family dinners, and prioritizing that. So we have had to learn how to make this space as functional as possible, because it's something we use all the time. So one of the coolest things I think in the kitchen is this Evermill spice rack that we have mounted here on the wall. It's amazing for space saving. I mean, it's not taking up a drawer or a cabinet or, counter space, as we have hardly any counter space. So having it hanging on the wall has been definitely a lifesaver on that front too. And another great space-saving piece that we have here is this Yamazaki storage crate. It fits just right in between this kind of awkward space we have here between the oven and the wall. And it's on wheels, so you just kind of roll it out, and we keep our spices here, which is really great and handy as they're right next to you when you're cooking. Something else that we have had ever since we moved in that I think has been huge in terms of figuring out counter space and how to maximize it is this cover that we got just on Amazon for our stovetop. And so when we're not cooking, obviously it sits here. We can use it as a cutting board. We can use it as a place to prep dinner or what have you, a place to leave dishes to dry because we don't have a dishwasher. We have a mat that we lay out, so we just hand wash our dishes and let them dry here. So having this to cover our stovetop is a small thing, but it has been really amazing to help us make our kitchen be even more functional and give us a little more space. We also have this hanging basket here that we use to store produce. So this usually has bananas in it, but our girls are very avid banana eaters, and so we don't have any bananas at the moment. But yes, we use this to save space. We have a lot of mouths to feed. We eat a lot of fruit, and like I said, do a lot of cooking. So we use this for produce. So this, has anything in it from lemons to bananas to apples. It's a great way to keep things off of the counter. Also, our fridge is really small, and so sometimes we can't fit all of our food in the fridge, or fruit and things like that, so it's just another great place to put produce. We have a lamp up here on top of the fridge, as well as our air fryer, which we use all the time. Just a way to take advantage of this space on top of our fridge. It's a pretty small fridge, and so utilizing the space on top of it, I mean, you've got quite a bit of space here, so being able to utilize it in this way, I think, has been really helpful. Hanging up our cutting boards, and then yes, getting a little more light in here as our kitchen is a little tucked away from where the window is in here. Having a couple of lamps in here in the kitchen has been really, really helpful as we don't get a lot of light. So we have this one. We also have this one over here in the corner.
And I would just say about the fridge, I mean, it's a space to, like many people do, display their kids' artwork. And so it's kind of fun because we don't have much space, and so there's not a ton of areas to collect, what the girls do, but the girls kind of contribute to the aesthetic with all that they've done here. So in our house, Heather and I actually share the cooking. There'll be some evenings that she takes the lead. There'll be some evenings that I take the lead. I think it really kind of just depends on what we enjoy more, or sometimes our schedules might dictate, a certain night that one of us cooks. But I really love to cook any, meat or anything of that sort. It's been a little bit difficult to find different ways to cook, different items, because I love cooking outside on a grill or a barbecue, but we don't have that here. And so experimenting with different methods on the stovetop or in the oven or even with the air fryer has been exciting. And then I think, Heather really takes the lead. She loves to cook, pastas and vegetables and salad and things of that nature. And so those are the things that I might cook, but I definitely don't get as excited about.
Yeah, we leave the steak to Michael. He's cooks a mean steak. So over here we have actually one of my favorite vases that we have in the apartment. It's by a girl named Ann Weber Callahan who lives here in New York. I think she's Brooklyn based. And I love the shape. I feel like it adds a lot of interest over here. And having kind of design features and not just functional things in the kitchen is important. I like when there are things like a lamp or flowers or something kind of beautiful in the kitchen, not just appliances and spices and things. So love that vase there in the corner, as well as these decorative bowls that we have hanging here that I found on Etsy. They're vintage, and I just think the fish are really fun. Some of our favorite cookbooks over there, and then we have this wall mount knife rack here that's magnetic, another way to get things up and off the counter. This is possibly my favorite thing in the entire apartment because it keeps me caffeinated, which is really important. This is our Terra Cafe espresso machine, and we absolutely love it. It's takes up a lot of space on the countertop, but that is a-okay because we use it all the time, probably too much. Actually, right now I have a couple different candles going in here. I have a candle here on the table and then one here in the corner. The scent is Cashmere. It's from 5th and Madison, which is here in New York, and it's one of my favorite candles. They're actually really affordable and smell amazing. Just really clean and light, nothing too intense, just really clean and fresh, which I like, especially in here in the living space. So our microwave is tucked away here in this corner cabinet that we have. This area is quite difficult to keep organized, as is as are most of the cabinets in here, just because there are so few and we have so many things to put in them. So there have been a lot of avalanches of me opening something and it's overstuffed and things fall out. That's been exciting. But this corner cabinet has served us well for a place to put our microwave. So we have that here, as well as our pots and pans and things, kind of stacked bigger bowls for entertaining and things like that up here. And then that way it's not taking up space on the counters. So we moved into this apartment knowing that it was going to be for at least 3 years. What brought us to New York was Michael going to school, and he's in school for 3 years, so we knew that it was going to be for 3 years at the very least. That being said, we never planned for it to be a place that we live forever. We never saw it as that. We have never made some sort of commitment that we're gonna live super small as a family or anything like that. So we won't be living in this apartment forever. That being said, I think that what we have experienced as a family, I mean, kind of like what Michael was saying earlier, just about the best part about living here and what we've been able to experience just as a family unit. I mean, it's just been really invaluable, and I think it'll definitely be something that we carry with us, just in terms of, the thoughtfulness that it requires to live in a small space, and just the dynamics between us and wanting to share, common spaces and things in future homes and places that we live, no matter what the size is moving forward. I feel like it's kind of like a mindset that we'll try to carry forward with us in a new home. As far as decorating goes, I tend to like to change things and rearrange and kind of keep it ebbing and flowing. And so I feel like we have just tried to decorate it thoughtfully. Obviously, function has had to be number one in terms of, dual purpose items and storage, space saving things and all those types of things. So I feel like we've had to be especially thoughtful with the way that we've decorated it, both on the functionality front, and then we love, we want it to be aesthetically pleasing and have the vibe that we want it to have for our family. We want it to be really casual and livable, and nothing's too precious, but thoughtfully put together.
From my view, I'd say it's simple, but at the same time, we want it to feel warm. I mean, again, being in a smaller space, everything, we can't have complex, ornate pieces. I think we would feel like it would dominate any room in this apartment. But we still want our simple pieces to feel warm. And so I'd say that's how Heather has kind of, put everything together.
All right, before we head into the bedroom, we're gonna stop in the hallway and show you a couple of special things that we have here. Michael and I love to collect coffee table books, and so this has been a growing stack over the years. I love that coffee table books serve as both decor, and also here they kind of serve as a table, which is a great way to make the most of something when you have little space. All of these books are special in some way, but this one right here, the book about Stephen Sondheim, is really sentimental. I feel like it kind of speaks to our experience here in New York too. We love to go see shows. I am a huge Broadway fan, and we've enjoyed seeing a lot of shows together since we've been here in New York. And Michael bought me that book about Stephen Sondheim after we saw Merrily We Roll Along on Broadway, which is a Sondheim show. So it's just really sweet and sentimental, and it just reminds me of that every time I see it.
Yeah, and here also going into the bedroom is a piece that I've pretty much demanded we have somewhere. I kind of said when we moved here, you know, I don't really mind where it goes, but I just want it up. And it's The Return of the Prodigal Son by Rembrandt. It actually hangs in St. Petersburg, so the best we could do is a replica, of course, although having the real thing would be amazing. But it's just a piece really important to me, and it's a special biblical story that we wanted to have up. And so it's a great thing to actually have in an area of the home. Even though we don't congregate here, we see it. So Heather is certainly the creative driver and the person who has you know, set the direction for our home. But I do have a say on certain things, and I'd say the overall layout. Like there's things that I can perhaps veto, and Heather's also really good about coming to me and asking, hey, what do you think about this? What do you feel about, you know, a piece here or there? For me, my favorite artistic touch is actually all of our books. And so that'd be something where I have pretty much refused to get rid of them. I don't want to box them away.
And I have never wanted to get rid of books.
No, of course not. But
that would be
if that were to come up, you know, I think that'd be a situation that I would have a lot of say in, because to me the books kind of tell a story about, you know, where you've been in your life, both intellectually and relationally, and even different places. And so that's an example of an area that I think I've had a decent amount of say. But otherwise, it's definitely a team effort. I think Heather is certainly the captain, and perhaps I'm a little bit lower on the chain, but I definitely am able to weigh in.
He has a good sense of style and a good sense of what looks good and what doesn't, and you definitely have opinions, and it's and I appreciate your involvement. And yeah, I feel like we have a good dynamic when it comes to making decisions about the apartment and things. There have been quite a few things though that I have suggested, and I tell him, I promise this will look good, and it takes trying it to convince him. He's not quite so sure, but it always ends up being something that you like more. He'll be like, you're right, this was a good call. So anyway.
So we both went to, Heather and I met in undergrad in Texas. We both went to Baylor, and Heather's a year older than I. And so we were initially, you know, kind of mutual friends. And then I invited her to lunch, knowing that, you know, that could either stay as friends or perhaps go further. And luckily for me, it ended up turning into marriage and kids.
Yeah.
It'll be 9 years in October. Now we can head on into the bedroom.
All right, this is the master bedroom, if you will, even though it is exactly the same size as the girls' room. This room has changed a lot over the last 2 or 3 years that we've been here. We've had it configured a lot of different ways, but I think that we are the most happy with this setup. I think we've finally figured out how to make the most of this space without it feeling cluttered, and just how to configure everything. So we're super happy about the way that it has come together over the last few months as we've made some changes. We'll start with this bed, because this particular bed is amazing for 2 reasons. One, it's beautiful. I love the boucle fabric here, and you know, it has a headboard that you can't really see, but it's all just this beautiful boucle fabric. And secondly, it lifts up, and there's storage actually underneath the mattress. So this bed is from Sunday's Furniture, and the storage that it has provided us has been amazing. I mean, we need all the storage that we can get, and this bed has been incredible. You just lift it up, and then it actually stays open all by itself, so you can get out what you need or put away things and then just put it down, and then that's it. So I love that you don't have things just stuffed under your bed, and we can actually be thoughtful about the way that we organize what's under there. So huge fan of this bed for sure. So these sconces on the wall over here are actually a pretty new addition to our room, and we're super happy with how they turned out. These are from Ravenhill Studio, and I just love the warmth that they add, and I love the shape of the shade. I think it's just really unique, and it's just kind of a cool design feature over here. Like I said, in the living room, we're huge fans of sconces where we can do them, because you're not taking up precious table space or floor space, and so the sconces over here are perfect. We also just moved our bed. It used to be in the center here, centered on the window, but we found that we weren't quite sure what to do with kind of the awkward space over here on this side of the bed, and we just recently decided to scoot it all the way to the corner and kind of take advantage of this L shape that it creates here. which has been one of the best changes that we've made in this room. It's given us tons of space over here, and then also we watch movies in here and kind of treat it as a day bed, or the girls will come and read books in here. So since we don't have a large couch in the living room, this has kind of served as like a big sofa daybed kind of situation, which has been really amazing. So we just got these pillows actually from Zara Home and used them to just kind of accentuate this L shape here and tie it all together.
And over here is a desk we have in the corner of our bedroom. It's Sundays as well. And so I spend a lot of my time here, mainly in the evenings, but sometimes the morning as well, getting my work done for school. I really enjoy not just its aesthetic and the simple lines of it, but I also enjoy it's actually close to the bed, because a lot of times in the evenings, Heather will be in here working, or she'll be just hanging out, and I'll be here working and I can still focus on what I'm doing, but it still feels like we're spending time together. And so it's actually been a better thing than I imagined, having a desk in our bedroom than I thought. I was a little bit skeptical. I had a home office back in California, but coming here, I was a little bit skeptical of how a desk in our bedroom would work. But so far, because I think of the way it's all laid out, it's been a great thing. Another thing about working here that I really enjoy as well is the artwork. And this is actually Heather's artwork. And so it shows that not only does Heather have talents as a mother and as an interior designer, but she's also quite the artist. And so I love to see something that we don't have much in our home, either pictures of ourselves or things that we have made. But this is one piece we do have that comes straight from Heather. And it's really great to have something that has beauty, but also the sentimental value attached to it.
Over here, we have this antique armoire that I am so in love with. I still can't believe that we scored it. We got it on Facebook Marketplace for us. It was a steal. I can't believe that we found it. We just saw it right when it went up and snatched it up, and we couldn't love it more. It actually ended up being a Christmas gift from my parents, which feels special as they live in Texas and we don't get to see them a whole lot. So it feels like something that reminds us of them, which is really sweet. But this has given us so much storage. We actually had the dresser that's now in the living room used to be here. And so it was just this portion. So we had 6 drawers total, and that was it. Having this, we have that plus this whole hutch area, which doubles our storage in here. It's been amazing to have all the extra space, and we've definitely needed it. We have some books stacked up there because we have books all over the place, and there is some space up there that we could put them, which is helpful. And then you can see that we have this really fancy rubber band here on the handles. As I mentioned, this is a really old piece, and the cabinet doors don't actually close all the way. So for now, we have a rubber band there to do the job. I don't know if we'll ever change that or fix it. We might just leave it like that. And then here we have this little mini lamp. This is also from Zara Home, and I love the size of it. I felt like we needed some sort of light source over here in this corner to kind of balance out the lamp on the desk, and then the sconces over here, and I feel like the size of this lamp is perfect. It just sits here so nicely, and then also when you open these doors, it doesn't get in the way of opening the doors because it's not too big, which is great. The plates that we have here on the wall are from an artist, and her shop is called Mellow, and she is based in here locally in New York City. I think her studio is in the East Village, or possibly the Lower East Side. I can't remember which, but she's local to New York. We stumbled upon her shop actually when we were just out kind of wandering around, and loved her work. I was looking for something to hang here at the time, and she was selling these plates already mounted, so it just kind of felt like it was meant to be. So we snatched them up right away. I love the shape and the swirls, kind of the kind of whimsical vibe that it gives, with a lot of just like clean lines and neutral colors. I feel like it just adds some really nice interest to our room. So super happy with those, and love that we were able to buy them from a local artist. That feels really special. Here we have this vase slash bowl. It could be kind of anything you want it to be. I choose to use it as a vase because I think it looks beautiful with flowers in it. This is from Ink and Porcelain, and I love the wavy shape of it. I feel like it ties in really nicely with the plates that we have on the wall. Have it stacked on top of this Paul Klee book that is one of my favorites. And we actually have a few pages ripped out of this book framed over here above the bed to kind of tie it all in. I love the color that it gives over there, but it's still really neutral. I like that it's kind of a different tone. With the black frames, I feel like it just kind of pulls this whole area together. So the artwork over here is actually just a few of my favorite pages out of this book. This table we also found on Marketplace. It was $20, I think. Previously, the person I think was using it as a plant stand or something, but we just needed something small. I was looking for something that was wood, but a different tone, not the same tone as this armoire here, and I like the contrast, but also the different, wood tones together. I feel like it just works really well, keeps it really warm in here, which I really like. Last but certainly not least, we have another tulip light on the ceiling. Again, I think these are just the most brilliant thing ever, and these lights have totally changed the look of all the rooms that we have them in. So we have these, like I said, in every room, and here's another example of that. We love tulip.
For me, with my school schedule, sometimes it can be challenging to find space, quiet space to work. Again, in our bedroom, it's quite, spacious. We can have a bed and a desk, but even still, there's 4 other people not so far away. And so for me, it's tough to balance the work and life portion in terms of being able to focus on my studies, but then, have my whole family right here too. And so sometimes that's been challenging, but I think we figured out how to make it work. And luckily it's forced us to set, good boundaries with our kids if they know kind of, hey, daddy's working or mom's working, and I need to be able to focus on those things, and they're, for the most part, pretty good about that.
It's definitely challenging every day for different reasons and on a lot of different fronts. I mean, logistically, it's tricky to figure out storage, and we maybe have it all set up just right and everything's put away and has a place, and then maybe we get maybe it's a birthday or something, and kids get birthday gifts, or it's Christmas or something like that, or new things come in for whatever reason, and so there's not just a place to put a new thing. You're constantly having to edit and reorganize and figure out what makes sense with whatever you have on hand or whatever it is that you need to, find a place for. So that can get a little tiring at times, just feeling like you're always having to reorganize and be really particular about how you arrange something or how you put things away. And then, it's just as kids get older and bigger, their needs change. And so it's also a lot of figuring out how to make their bedroom work for them, how to help with dynamics between the kids and small space, and just navigating kind of emotionally how that can be for them sometimes. So it definitely it's a lot of effort to make it possible. All right, welcome to all of our favorite room in the apartment. This is the girls' room. So these are my girls. Can you say hi?
Hi.
Hi. Yes, and we all love this room for so many reasons. They are the only ones that have 2 windows in their room, so they get the best light in here, even on the cloudiest of days. It's really lovely to sit in here and look out their big windows and enjoy the natural light. They also have this nice corner window. We're actually on a corner unit, and so we get this nice corner window, which I just love. We like to sit out here and watch for taxis and dogs and double-decker buses and all kinds of fun stuff that we get to see out the windows here.
And kitties.
And kitties too. So this is our bookshelf. This was another Facebook Marketplace find. It was pink actually when we bought it, but I painted it to just kind of give it a little bit of new life and to blend in, you think, a little bit too. Yeah, that makes sense too. So yeah, this is where we keep books. The girls love to read, and so we needed a place obviously to put all their books. So we have books here and books down here. This drawer we keep things like hair ties and hair clips and all those kinds of fun things too. So this music box that we have up here is actually a music box of New York City. We got it for them for Christmas this past year as kind of a way to commemorate our time here, and they love it. When you turn the music box, the little taxi ferry actually goes around. It's really sweet. So that's something that the girls really love.
Here there is some reading books that you can read to practice reading, and there's some other books that you can read for fun, and Barbies and tiaras. They're all different colors. And then there is some trucks and horses, and a school bus, Yoda, and a clock that we use for nighttime. It gives us a sound machine and some light color.
Excellent, babe.
Thank you.
And thank you.
And some clothes.
And some clothes, of course. Yes. This is kind of a new addition to the girls' room, as they had sliding doors. Sure. You want to explain?
We had sliding doors right here, but they kept falling off, so we took them off all the way. And then we we got a curtain rod, and then we got a curtain just for reading. We used to have a nook in here, but now Mom looks like she like separated it around. And well, that's it.
That's it. I actually found this. This is a vintage tablecloth that I found on Etsy. I just thought it was beautiful, and the size was perfect. Just got a tension rod and then some little clips, hooks, yep, and then just put it right up there. It was a really easy project, and I love what this does. Yeah. I love what this design has added to their room. I just think it's really beautiful. Our goal with their room is just that it would feel like them and be things that they love and decorations they're excited about.
And what everybody loves in the family.
And yeah, we want it to be what everybody loves in the family. We want their room to feel connected to all the other rooms in the apartment, but we want them to also be really excited about it, and it's theirs, so we want it to feel like them. So really happy with how this tablecloth worked out. Georgie, should we tell them about the princess chair?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, where is the princess chair? Who sits there?
Me.
Because you're a princess?
No.
No, this is what we call it. We call it the princess chair. This was a Facebook Marketplace find also, just here in our neighborhood. And I believe it is like an authentic Victorian chair is what, oh, you okay? Is what the owner told me. But I just loved that it is actually a child's chair. It's their size, and I just think it's really lovely in this corner. They really like to sit here and read and play. And
It is itchy though on the bottom right here.
It's itchy on the bottom, yep. Yeah, we really enjoy sitting here. This is a light that we got from a shop called Ramble Interiors. I actually found it on Etsy. I believe it's made out of a vintage tablecloth, which I thought was really neat. And I love the floral embroidery. I just thought it was really sweet in the girls' room. I love that it's roughly...
Light bulb?
What?
Why is there a light bulb?
Because it's a light. You can't have a light without a light bulb.
Oh.
And so I think it's just a really nice kind of anchor for this corner space paired with the chair. I just think it's a really sweet little nook. Over here we have the girls' beds. This is a setup that we put in probably about 6 months ago or so, maybe a little bit longer. It hasn't been this way always. When we moved to New York, James, our youngest, was just 6 months old, so we had a crib and then we had bunk beds. And then eventually, as James got older and started walking, we just needed more floor space, and this room has changed a lot just as the girls have grown. But this setup has been really fun for them. It feels like a little dorm room. I mean, they just get to have a sleepover every night together, and they love it. So these beds are from Masonette. They are the Jenny Lind toddler beds. Their bedding is from Green Row, which I love the kind of crochet edging. And they have their little stuffed animals there that they sleep with at night. Above their bed, we have this vintage artwork that was also a Facebook Marketplace find. I think it was like $25, and it's huge. I couldn't believe what it was for the price, but I just love the colors. I love the neutral color that it adds in here, and I also love that it's just kind of fun and whimsical. Love the polka dots, and I just think everything about it just fits in really well with their room. I also like the black and brown tones kind of paired with all the florals and kind of more feminine feel. I think it's just a really nice contrast. Their wall sconces that we have here, I actually made myself. It's a frame that I bought off of Amazon, and then I used an old pillowcase to just kind of sew a little cover or a little like shade around it. To turn them on, you just use this little remote. And there you go. It just gives it a little something. I like that it frames the art and their beds, and I feel like it just kind of completes this little area here. I also like the battery feature just for their room because you don't have the cords hanging down. You don't have cords near the girls' beds or anybody playing with them in a way that's unsafe. So I think that this is a really good solution for a kid's room. Above their artwork, we have some storage for all their stuffed animals. Any way that we can go up and put things on the wall has been huge, living in such a small space, especially in the girls' room as they have toys and all these different things to figure out where to put them. So this is actually just a curtain rod that we got on Amazon, and we used it to store stuffed animals. So I think it's been a really good, affordable solution to get things up off the floor. It's worked really well. This wall here in the girls' room, it's kind of an awkward space. It's something that you can see from the living space. It's always visible, and we like to keep their door as open as possible just to keep their little walkway here as clear as we can. So we put a basket of blocks here just because it helps hold the door open and it kind of gives something to this little corner. And then put up a couple of pieces of art here that are still fun and tie in with the girls' room, but they're also neutral and match really well with everything that's in the main living space. So this little shell print was actually just a postcard that we got from a store. I just love the little seashells. The girls love seashells, so thought that was really sweet in their room. And then this is a vintage cross-stitch piece that I found also on Etsy. I love that it has hearts and birds and a horse and all kinds of fun little things. It feels like a, kind of whimsical and fun for a kid's room, while still tying in with the rest of the apartment really well. I feel like the best way to add soul to a space is definitely vintage. And I love to shop secondhand. We love finding unique things, maybe if we're traveling or things that maybe remind us of a place that we've been or something that we've done. We love to incorporate those types of things into our space. But yeah, I feel like there's just nothing like vintage in a home. And we have been really spoiled with the vintage that we've been able to find, and even just the secondhand, not necessarily vintage, things that we found living in New York. I mean, it's just endless, the things that you can find here. So it's been really fun to find special things that are either secondhand or vintage, antique, to bring into our home to help it be unique and just have a lot of soul. The word home for me means family. I mean, I feel like Michael said, just the experience that we've had as a family in this particular home has been amazing. And we've lived in a few different places ever since we got married and started growing our family. And so we have not had roots anywhere for longer than kind of 3-year stints, just as life would have it. And so home for me really is just family. I mean, I feel like we have a really good relationship as a family of 5, as well as really good, strong individual relationships with each other and our kids, and we're so grateful for that. And so I think that home, is going to be anywhere that we're together. If that might sound cheesy, but it's true. It's home's just being together and maintaining a close, tight-knit family dynamic and relationship.
Yeah, and the only thing I would add is just being in a space that facilitates those relationships and being somewhere that you are excited to be. I think other than that, there's not much else you could ask for.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Jenny. This is my 650 square foot 1-bedroom apartment in New York City. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Jenny Davis. I'm a freelance writer and an interior designer. We're in New York City on the Upper East Side in a 1-bedroom apartment that's 650 square feet. And when I first moved in, we were told by people in the building it was 850, which is not true. I've measured and remeasured and remeasured. And if you saw before photos, you'd believe me. So I chose this apartment because I love pre-war buildings. I love the architecture. I love the sturdy framework of a pre-war building. This is actually the second apartment I've lived in. I've only lived in 2 apartments in my entire life. I grew up in New York City in Inwood. My father was the superintendent of the building we lived in, and that was also a pre-war building that was of the same size as this one. So I think when I first saw this place 17 years ago, it felt like home. partly because of nostalgia, but also I could just tell the bones were great since I first came here. My home is very kid-centric. I'm a single mom to 3 young kids. So really, if they're content and playing independently, that's the only way I get peace. If they're sleeping, I'm sleeping. It doesn't work any other way. So I've dedicated a lot of my home to making sure they have space to play. I also strongly believe that children learn through play, and since a lot of that happens at home, I've done a lot of research about what types of toys really foster that early brain development. I used to work at the Clinton Foundation, where Secretary Clinton started an initiative called Too Small to Fail, and I learned a lot about how a person's brain, 80% of their brain develops in the first 5 years, and how important exposure and activities that they do is, and how critical that is to lifelong success. So that was ingrained in me when I became a mom. And so a lot of the toys I've curated for my kids and settings I set up is for their development, but also to give me some relief and a break, and to make parenting easier, to make me more present and calmer amidst what can be a lot of chaos, to make my home feel like a deep breath in and out instead of me just holding my breath in and contributing to overwhelm. And I didn't start here. I got into design after my environment was negatively contributing to my well-being and emotions and feelings, and then I started changing things around and seeing the difference, and I discovered a talent. I found I was really good at making space where there seemed to be no space and finding unused space. And 17 years later, this apartment feels bigger than ever before, despite my family having grown, and more like home. Welcome to the grand entryway, where the only thing grand about this space is the wallpaper. It is really narrow and tight with so many sharp turns that you can't even fit a stroller in here unless you fold it, so that was fun for me with 3 young kids. But I used to have just white walls, and I felt so confined, and it felt so, the smallness of this room really felt highlighted, that I just decided to go crazy with the wallpaper. And it's funny because I only go crazy with wallpaper pretty much in small spaces, because I think it adds dimension, but it also just distracts from how tight the space is and brings you into another world. So I have this great dinosaur wallpaper in here. We have 2 closets. This is a beautiful piece that I bought secondhand for $200. I'm telling you, there's so much good stuff out there, stuff that people don't use or need anymore. And it's the perfect size. It's really narrow, really tall, and I think fits in beautifully with the colors in the space. Now, welcome to the foyer. After the entryway, this is another kind of tight, small space, but I tried to add dimension and texture by adding this peel and stick wallpaper. That's actually not flat. It has some texture, and I think that helps with the colors and making the space feel deep. I put a mirror here to reflect the light that's coming in from the living room. I decorate this space with a lot of mementos or things that have deep meaning to me. This was gifted to me from the family of a dear friend of mine who passed away. My father loved flamingos, so I got this painting after he passed. This was handmade by my grandmother, and I just hung it on the light because I wanted to decorate with it. I used to store all my mementos in plastic bags, in protective cases, behind closed doors like a cabinet, and I thought I have to protect them. They're too special and important to me. And then I've realized how that's a disservice to what these things can mean to you in life, or to me at least. And I keep thinking, if this gets ruined, at least I've appreciated it and I've enjoyed it and I've honored it. So I do that in the foyer welcome space. And what I'm gonna touch on throughout the tour is how I make this space work better for me and my family and make it feel bigger by creating zones. A zone is a space that serves a specific purpose or function or utility, and a zone can be a wall, it can be a closet, it can be a section of the room. So as I go through each room, I'm going to talk about that, but I also have a lot of flexible multi-purpose use of spaces. And later we'll come back to this foyer and I will show you what it becomes at night. So for now, it's the entry foyer. Welcome to the living room. It's a long living room that gets flooded with light, which is nice for small space because it really opens it up. And this has changed a lot from when I first lived here. We used to just put the TV there because there was a cable cord there. And then after having kids, I created the play space in the back of the living room closest to the windows. I gave them the light, and I realized the TV viewing conversational area should be in the darker end of the room because you don't really need bright light for a TV, so that was a strange place to have the TV. So the living room is divided up by zones, and each zone has a way to make it feel distinct, but the whole room has to feel cohesive. So I bought this marble table secondhand, 90% off. Again, don't think anything's out of reach. You can pretty much find anything if you're willing to wait for it and look long enough for it. So this was a marble table. It's my little bit of luxury. Might not seem practical with 3 kids, but it works really well. Before I had a wooden table that was destroyed and I could never get myself to clean it or clean it off, and it just became a catch-all spot for papers and coins. I mean, the things that is just a lot of visual clutter. These are high chairs for my twins, and I made this floating bench on the back wall for my son, so we just shift the table out a bit. So the middle, this is our dining area, and the adult space where the kids also hang out and watch TV, but this is kind of my zone. When I have people over, I can have a lot of circular seating. This couch I bought secondhand. It was a Design Within Reach couch, so a really expensive, fancy couch that had performance cushions that were not performance enough for 3 kids. They got destroyed. So I actually took them off, sewed zippers onto them, and Frankensteined this whole couch to make the cushions removable and washable. And that has made a big difference in making this look really nice. I also kind of shrunk it. It used to be like a sectional with a shay on the side, and they were connected, and it had a high back, an armrest there, a deeper area, and I gutted it. I opened up the couch and I saw that the frame that the cushions were sitting on was a lot smaller. So I think this size couch, with all the modifications I've made, fit the space a lot nicer. And it's great for conversational seating because I can sit here, you can have 2 people sit there, 2 people can sit here. I can pull over one of the stools that I use in the dining area, and that can be circular seating. This is an old toy chest that I put under the TV. It still has toys in it, but I can also slide it over, and then it becomes a coffee table. I actually had a birthday party for my son here, and he had 7 7-year-olds, and they had a pizza party, and I was able to fit everyone in here by using this as a table, taking the 2 stools and our climbing board and putting it across the 2 stools and making an additional table. So this has served a lot of gatherings really well. And this is a bookcase. I put these along the side to just create a nice little nook with my books for reading. I have a mirror here. Again, I really like to lean into using mirrors to reflect light and create scenes. I also like to create little vignettes wherever I can because I think it just adds a little spark of interest and joy in a home. Like this is my little Don Quixote. I took a course in college where the entire course was reading the book in Spanish. It was really hard, but something I'm really proud of. And so I created a little Don Quixote scene here. I have books for the kids, my books. This bookshelf it's not just a bookshelf. When my kids are sleeping in the bedroom and I'm out here, I can get to the bathroom because the main entrance to the bathroom is through the bedroom. Without interrupting them, I can get to the bathroom by going through this Murphy door. So it looks like a bookshelf, but it also opens up into the bathroom, which is incredibly useful, especially when they're sleeping at night. But we pretty much don't use it to get to the bathroom during the day because you can get to it from the bedroom. It's really a nighttime thing or an alternative way to get to the bathroom. And that's a pretty fun conversation starter. It always surprises people. This is a plug-in light that I feed above the crown molding to create a nice hanging pendant to create a moment and help define the dining area, because this is not overhead light, it's a plug-in. And now the play area. The toys that I have that stay out always are the blocks. And if you look at any preschool, they always have blocks. My friend is an early childhood educator, and when I got pregnant, the first thing she said was, you have to get your child blocks. And it is amazing, and it always blows my mind how creatively the kids use these blocks. They will never tell you, it never makes any list of favorite toys of theirs. They will tell you blocks are boring, but I've seen them so many times use these blocks in creative ways to supplement their play when they're really deep into play and trying to form abstract ideas that they have in their head and tell stories with the blocks or use them as houses, buses, roads. So the blocks always stay out, and these are IKEA floating shelves that I put them on. I have a dollhouse here because my daughter and son, my younger 4-year-olds, they get really into small world play with the little dolls. This is an IKEA picture ledge. Again, look for things not just by what their intended purpose was, but be open-minded and you'll have so many options to decorate your space at the right size, right price point for you. So this works really nice as a little block nook. This is a magnet board that is also open-ended, really nice for creativity. You could use magnet tiles. We have a lot of different things you can clip to it. It's very strong. So I like this because it creates a nice focal point in the play area with the create sign on top of it, but it also just uses vertical space. So it's a nice way to add a play station for the kids that doesn't clutter the floor or take up floor space. So I'll swap out the different materials that are here occasionally. So now we have these magnetic men that you can connect, but I'll switch these out when they go stale. Like when the kids stop playing with them, I'll go into my closet and switch it for something else. I don't store my toys out here. I think that's really a recipe for chaos and disaster. It makes cleanup really hard. I think it overwhelms the kids when they have too many options and toys to play with. So I just rotate, and then it's like, oh, this toy, and it's almost like I bought them a new toy. Even though it's an old toy, they just haven't seen it in a while. So that's a fun trick. I built these shelves, didn't know what I was doing. It was a lot of trial and error, but it worked out perfectly. I needed shelves. I wanted shelves that had a little movement, had nice soft curves to soften the space. So I cut the shelves using a portable Dremel saw in my bathtub because I don't have a workstation anywhere. And so I did that, and then I covered it with like some kind of molding board, and then I found a door stopper, like something that you attach to the bottom of the door so that air doesn't come through, and I stapled it on and covered it with this. A lot of times I'll buy things, I'll just see them on the shelves, I'll go to Home Depot, I'll go to the hardware store, I'll be shopping and see something that could be used in one way, and I don't even know what it's called, I just know it works. So I built these shelves, and these bins have their toys, and these I rotate also. So animals, I'll rotate when they go stale. We have their Transformers. I'll swap these for cars or train tracks at some point, but now these are all kind of here from a fresh rotation, and they play with that. My kids are really into dramatic play. They'll dress up and pretend to be different characters. So this is their dress-up zone. It's just a wall, but I defined the dress-up zones by decorating it with hooks, putting up some of the costumes. I have a mirror here that's nice. It reflects, it just, when you're looking at the living room from that side, it creates depth. This is just a bench that they can sit on, but it also has their dress-up clothes, a toy chest for dress-up. These are play silk scarves. This is a toilet roll holder. It just, again, looks really nice, fits perfectly in this space, and they can pull whatever color they want from it really easily. It makes them accessible, it makes it decorative and pretty. This is just a divider. They'll use this a lot. They'll hide in here and be the different characters. And I really like having the dress-up area right near a rock climbing wall and monkey bars and foam pit because they can feed into each other. So if you're playing, what are they doing? A lot of times they like to play animals and they're chasing each other and one goes up the wall, the rock wall and the monkey bars, and then they'll jump onto the net loft, which is here. This was a net loft that I think it's called a space net. And climbers usually build these using paracords that are really strong. They have about a 660-pound weight capacity, I believe, each one. And it's meant for outdoor attaching to trees. And I thought, well, I like how light and airy it is and how it can make this space not a 9 by 8 square foot room, but almost like a 9 by 9 by 8 cubic room, because I'm using the ceiling, the sidewalls, and the floor. So it just creates a lot of movement in space. So this is kind of a micro version of those big gross motor movement play spaces you'll see online that people design in their basements. I don't have a basement, but this works just fine for my kids. They can climb up the rock wall, jump over the monkey bars, go to the net loft. And if you come on this side, I'll show you something with the net loft. These are just like 1 by 4 plywood that we had a carpenter build into the wall to create a frame. And it just creates a shelf up top for my kids to put their books, Pokemon toys. We keep puzzles on that side. And this is a really special place and seat. And the kids love it. And then of course I have a tree. I don't have too many trees outside, so I like to bring green in wherever I can. So we're back here, and this is a rock climbing wall. And what's nice about this rock climbing wall is the slabs that the rock holds are attached to. You can unscrew them and move them around. You can vary it so it varies based on complexity and level. And this slab, that's the heaviest part, is anchored into a wooden frame that goes behind it. So the wooden frame has to be securely anchored into the wall, but that's what supports the weight. And then the slab that goes on the wooden frame attaches to that. So it's not like each rock hold is drilled into the wall. So it creates minimal structural damage or modification. So that's nice. And then monkey bars on top, monkey bars on the side that create a ladder that go into the net loft. I put the foam pit here because we needed a crash pad, something for them to jump onto and land in. And what's nice about this foam pit is it adds a pop of color. It's vibrant, it's happy, I like yellow, but it's just an inviting place to jump into. And what's nice about this is the kids can go on the net loft and jump in. But an interesting thing is this is a toddler foam pit. Most foam pits support the weight of someone jumping into it by being 2 feet high and deep enough. And it's the foam cubes that support the crash and the landing, which clearly I don't have with this. So I hacked it and I put a landing pad that's used for gymnastics underneath that can support even adult weight. So if I were to jump off the net loft and land here, it wouldn't hurt my joints. So I pretty much made this foam pit, extended the lifespan of it so that my son, who's 7 now, still uses it and plays. And we've had birthday parties for him the last 2 years. And in this room, lots of 7-year-old boys play and jump, and it's comfortable. And the space is just enough for them. I got these neon signs at first. I used to be afraid of neon signs. I thought it was too disco nightclub feeling. But I got this one and initially, as I mentioned, put it in the alcove so that if I regretted how vibrant or bright it was tucked away. But at night, I really loved the glow and the vibe and how warm and fun it was at night. And even during the day, I think it just creates nice inspiration. It makes the room, it can help anchor a zone. So happy place sign you can see when you're on the net loft and relaxing. It gives you some light when you're up there, but it also helps anchor this wall, which is the dress-up area. I recently added this sign, create, because again, I needed some additional lighting, but I think it's inspirational. I feel like I would look at this sign in all the colors and want to create. So I've really, over the years, grown to love wallpaper, which I used to hate, and neon lights. I used to be too afraid to use any of them, but I think they're great ways to reflect your personality, your interests, and just add pops of color. And here I have this whale sign, neon sign. At night, you can really feel the difference more when they're off versus when they're on. They really add a vibe. They add depth to the room and really add additional lighting that's needed in these spaces at night. It's just a fun way to light up a room and decorate. In the middle of the playroom, we have a swing hook attachment. We have different attachments. So this is the swing that my kids currently like to use. They'll lay on it with their stomach, they'll kick up, they'll sit on it together, and they'll swing. But I also can attach to these hooks a yoga trapeze, a yoga hammock to do, upside down inversions when I have back pain. So it's for adults and kids, but the kids really love it. And I have a lot of bouncing yoga hooks, and I find that whenever they seem most dysregulated, when they come home from school after they've had a long day, when they want to decompress, these movement things are really helpful for them. The swing is really nice. We have clearance to go forward and back. You really just need like 6 feet of clearance on either side. But it's surprisingly strong and surprisingly fun. I use it a lot. And we have different attachments. It's a really fun thing to have at home. And it was the first big child-centric investment that I made in this space, even though I use it just as much as they do. I have a clock here, a simple clock. I use these because my kids don't really have a good concept of time, so I'll tell them, Baba's coming in half an hour. Well, when is that? It's when the little arm is here and the big arm is here, and it just gives them a nice visual guide so they stop asking me every minute, has it been half an hour yet? Has it been half an hour yet? So the radio, the clock are things I like to have in the play space, and they're really useful. This is a play kitchen that helps with imagination play. It takes up not a lot of surface area. It's really small and compact. I switched out the legs with legs that I found at Home Depot. I'm not even sure what these are meant for, but they work maybe the bottom of a couch, I'm thinking. And then I remove the back legs, and I have it supported by the ledge here of the alcove, and I hacked it to be a working faucet. And what's really nice about this is just a plastic bowl, and it's a faucet that is used primarily, I think, in RV sinks. And then inside there's a milk carton for the dirty water to go in, and the clean water is pulled from the back, because I noticed that I had something like this before where the water circulated, and my kids started to drink it, and I thought that's gross, so I like that it's separate. It's dirty water into the clean water, and then you refill. And then into the kitchen, this play kitchen goes into an expansion of that imagination play kitchen, and these are the shelves and drawers that were part of an old IKEA play kitchen that we had that wasn't used daily and took up too much space, so I took it apart and built it into our kitchen shelves. And then the rest of the kitchen is here. It's pretty small and narrow, but I use every inch of it all the way up. And I access the top ends by climbing onto these shelves, these stations and countertops. And I've just been doing it forever that I'm used to it. Otherwise, I probably would have a ladder there, but I don't use it or need it. There's a little space here because there's a pipe over here, so I have hooks on the wall in here for measuring utensils. I have knives here on a magnet board, my spices up here. I really try to find any space I can for storage and utility. And these are, I think they're IKEA plant cups that I put our utensils in. And I mainly did this because when my kids were young, I didn't want them being able to reach the knives and forks, and it just has worked really well. I just really believe that people should design their homes to reflect their priorities and their values. And this is a season in my life where the kids are still young and they're playing. If I'm still here 5 years from now, it might change a lot, but right now this best supports us. The things I have in this space and how we utilize it. If a parent sees something in my home that they think is aspirational, something that they want, but how could I ever either afford that or make space for it? I just have to say, we live in the age of information. There's so much out there to give you tips on how to do it yourself, and be open-minded to when you're in the department store, whether it's Home Depot, Target, TJ Maxx, any of the stores you go shopping in, even the supermarket, and you see things, don't let its predefined use limit your thinking of how you might be able to use it. I've used so many bathroom things in my space, like our art cart in the bedroom is a bathroom caddy that I put a shelf on because it was the perfect size for my small space, and it works great. The table that I have for the kids in the bedroom I made using two chests of drawers that were meant for clothes, and I put just a board shelf that I found at Home Depot across it, and it's the perfect art table for my kids. To store their small little basketballs, I use a toilet paper holder. So I go shop, when I go to Home Depot, I'm constantly looking and seeing things. Oh, that looks nice, that looks like it's the perfect size, and I'm never shopping in the aisle that I should be shopping if I'm looking for something. And there are so many ways to hack things to make it work. Like this play kitchen is a really micro-sized play kitchen that I purchased because I needed something to fit on that wall, but it was low. I think it was meant for a 9-month-old that's just learning to stand. And so I went to Home Depot and got elevated legs to make it higher for my older kids. And then to make it more interesting for my even older child, I hacked it to make it a working faucet. And I got the idea for that by watching videos of how people who live in buses or RVs use their spaces. So they have these micro bathrooms and small faucets, like everything is out there. So you can just be flexible, break through the boundaries that stores set to sell a product. And once you do that, the options and opportunities almost seem limitless. Now I'm going to show you where we sleep. Follow me. This is the bedroom, the only bedroom in the apartment, and I've given it to my 3 kids, which is nice because I sleep better when they sleep. It's the only way I get sleep, but it's nice that they're contained in here, and when they're sleeping, the rest of the apartment is like a studio that I get all to myself. And it was really only when I gave the kids the bedroom that I had free, unrestricted time when they were in bed. I didn't have to tiptoe around because one was sleeping in the alcove. I didn't have to feel confined or have any other space taken up by the kids. So I really have the most freedom now at night after giving them the bedroom. It's a bunk bed, and it's a twin that was supposed to be on top of queen. The queen, this slat was supposed to go here, and you were supposed to have a queen mattress underneath, but because I have twins, I got them Montessori floor beds, and I moved the slat to the center to give them each space. So now all 3 kids have their own little space to sleep in. And then the back of the bedroom is an art area. I used to just have a tabletop art setup that my son could play with at the dining table, but then he really started to get into art, to making things with polymer clay. He became really advanced in doing complicated drawings where he was drawing motion into creatures and things, and I thought, all right, this kid has an interest and a real talent, so I wanted to give him a dedicated space. And this is the table that I made. These were just a chest, 2 things that I used to have in my closet that I cut down. It used to have 5 drawers, and it was too tall for my kids, my toddlers at the time, and so I cut it down to be 4. This is just a shelf that I found in Home Depot that goes across it, and it just fits the space perfectly. I have a chalkboard here. This is a bathroom caddy that I put a shelf on top of to turn it into an art cart. These are just cups that I found at Goodwill for $2 that I use for art materials. And these are the art materials that they can access or use freely on their own independently. They don't make too much of a mess, so that they have access to art and materials whenever they want. And then the messy stuff that I don't want them having access to whenever they want, I store up here. So like the messier paint, the glue gun, things like that. I like having a chalkboard here. This gets used sporadically, randomly. It's just nice to have a vertical space that they can create on. It's nice, we get a lot of light in the bedroom. This is a light that I also kind of hacked. It had just flat LED lights that felt too bright and white. I wanted to warm up and cozy up the space, especially at night. So I replaced the lights with, these are just like candelabra lights. And this is a small lampshade that I hang on them upside down. So it's just a nice way to add warmth to the room. And it's again the perfect shape to illuminate the rectangular long desk. I store clothes everywhere. A lot of people ask me, where do you keep your clothes? This IKEA storage has sweaters here. My son's clothes, my older son's clothes are here. My twins' clothes are still small because they're young, and those are out in the nightstand that's out in our living room. My clothes are behind the door in one of our closets. They're scattered throughout, but I know where everything is, and I believe that as long as there's a place for everything and everything in its place, you'll remember where things are, and I don't need a chest for my clothes. What we have works really well for me. So it's nice that I can free up the floor space for other things that we use. Basketball hoop is over here. My kids don't really use this, which is why I kind of put it in the bedroom. Maybe one day they'll get into it, but I like practicing at night. I'm not really good at it, but these are the little basketballs that go in there. It's really hard because for me it's really hard, and he got it in first try. I was like, I guess it's not hard when you know what you're doing and you've practiced, but I just try to do it. It has a backboard, it works, but it's fun. And I like to teach my kids, it's not getting it right. What makes someone successful is being okay with failing and getting up and trying again. I mean, you can read these stories about these athletes that, it's also why I think sports is really good for kids. I read a book once that talked about how boys tend to play sports and they learn to fail, they learn to take risks, they learn to be an individual player with their own goals, but also part of a team. And little girls who tend to play these imaginary doll play, they don't get to practice all of those skills that will benefit them in the workforce. So I like having my daughter practice with me. I like her seeing me doing something and trying that I'm not good at. And whenever they get something, I try to remember to not say, great job, you finally climbed those monkey bars. I try to say, you didn't give up and you kept practicing and you made it, because I want to reinforce that grit, that resolve, that continual practice, because I think that's what's going to help them be successful in life and continue to strive versus just praise. In this room, it gets a lot of light, but because it's an art area and a bedroom, I wanted the colors to be calming and soothing, because at night it transitions into a bedroom. So I went with this green palm wallpaper that's really light pastel green. And then here I have yellow and blue. So I stuck with green and blue and then kept this wall white. I actually like having negative space, so there's not too much clutter. A lot of times I'll go into a home to design and they'll say, well, what can I put on this wall? And I was like, I always say, well, what if we just kept it bare and then everything else stands out? I think it's nice. It gives your brain a bit of a break visually when you look in a room and there's some negative space. So I kept this wall white. That has the green, that has the blue. And the art area, I also kept white, and even the rug is white. The rug is white, and that might not seem like the best choice for an art area, but with the grains of color woven in to the low tile rugs, it kind of obscures. Like right here, we had a paint spill, but you can't really see it much. But this is also a carpet that is made up of individual tiles that you can pull up individually and wash individually, which has come in handy. And twice my kids have brought home the stomach bug. And at night with 3 kids, it was chaotic, but I was so thankful to have rugs where I could just pick up the soiled ones, throw them in the tub, and worry about them later. So I recommend these rugs to everyone I know. Whether you have kids, or you're just a messy person, or you have pets, they're really practical and come in great colors. My favorite space in the house, I think, has always been the alcove right behind me, because we have the corner windows and it gets so much direct, bright light that I don't take for granted any day, because I grew up in a basement apartment that had no light. We had windows that were street level, so all we saw were feet walking on the sidewalk. And so when I saw this apartment and it was just flooded with sunlight, it made me happy, and I just thought, this is a rarity and I will never take it for granted. So I love the alcove. It's also changed a lot over the years from when I first lived here, and it's just a fun, whimsical space. A lot of my playroom stuff that's colorful and bright, I try to move back there, because I try to limit, I want to make the living room that's shared with our living room media space and dining table a bit more cohesive, so it's somewhat muted in this big open living room, and in the alcove is where I can go a little crazy and be whimsical. And the wallpaper with the whale I used to scuba dive, and maybe one day will again, hopefully. And so that just speaks to the inner child in me, and it just is my happy place. So I love the alcove. Now we're back in the foyer, which I introduced when we first came in as the welcoming entryway when people come in. But at night, it becomes my bedroom. And this was something I worked on for a while. When I gave the kids the bedroom, I couldn't figure out how to get a bed in here, a Murphy bed. I originally had a twin bed on this wall, a twin Murphy bed that extended out into the living room because I couldn't find a Murphy bed for this wall that didn't block too much of the entryway. Most Murphy beds have a frame that comes out about 16 inches, which would be right to here. So could you imagine having a Murphy bed that goes right to here, and then how do you walk in? It just felt really confined. I finally found a frame-only Murphy bed that shrunk down the depth of the Murphy bed. This is a queen-size Murphy bed that instead of coming out 16 inches, just comes out 9 inches up top and 11 inches up bottom. And it's a really nice space for me. So at night, I just pull it down. I grab my pillow from above that cabinet that's in the entryway. I made that headboard using a bench cushion. That nightstand, if you will, is actually a bathroom teak wall shelf unit that I used to have in the bathroom, and I just moved it here because it was the perfect size. That lamp is a wall sconce because, again, it was nice and compact and it fit there perfectly. And it's a very comfortable space for me to sleep in. This light looks beautiful. It's decorative. It's a rattan pendant, but it also has a fan built in, which is really needed at night to help with the airflow. And then I open up this divider to create a sense of closure and privacy at night. This was gifted to me by someone in the building, again, that friend who passed away, so it's meaningful to me. I attached this hook to the side so that it is anchored to the wall and my kids can't pull it down, but that also allowed me to keep it as flush to the wall as possible without having to prop it up to secure it and make it stable so it doesn't take up too much space when it's closed. And then when it opens, it just creates such a nice, cozy, private space for me at night. And so this is my bedroom at night. And then that's the rest of my studio at night when the kids are sleeping. So I just pretend that that room doesn't exist, and it creates a nice sense of privacy, freedom, and I can get to the bathroom through the Murphy door if I want. And then put it away, just fold it right back up. This is a shower curtain that I just stapled to the board of the Murphy bed to conceal the frame, which is not so aesthetically nice. So that worked well. And again, I used to scuba dive, and I have gone scuba diving with whale sharks. So this picture is pretty special to me. And then to continue closing up my bedroom for daytime use, I would fold this away, and then you have the space back to an entryway, foyer, and living room. The other area in this room, an unexpected use, is how I use this closet. It's our biggest closet, and I turned it into my workspace by building shelves into the wall to create a desk. I have my computer in here, my printer, paperwork. These days, now that my kids are in school, I do a lot of my work outside, but when they were younger and I was getting most of my writing done at night, I didn't like working outside in the windows where everything was dark and I felt like everyone was asleep. So I really liked having this space, this cocoon where I could retreat and write at night and just be by myself, especially during the pandemic when I was home with the kids. It was just nice to have my own space. And I have my computer. I store books up here. I write things I find important along the molding here because I couldn't take it out and it was ugly and I didn't want to paint it. I thought, all right, it'll just be a slab that I can write inspirational quotes on. And I really like creating, like I said, little vignettes. So if you look up, these are my porcelain dolls from when I was a kid. I could have just hid them in that bin, but instead I have one looking down at me, which some people think is creepy. I think it's fun, and I like that. I have an Applehead doll that I made when I was younger up here. I have artwork from my kids on the back wall. So I'm constantly looking for ways to make moments in my home special, authentic, and reflective of who I am and my story. So that's my clawfist, as they say, or as I've heard. And just to put this on the wall just to soften up the door so it doesn't feel like a door when I'm sleeping in the bed right next to it. This is our cat, Leo. He was 3 when we adopted him from a city shelter, and he is the sweetest. We call him a dog cat. He has to be part dog because he's such a lap cat. And he's such a loving part of this family, and it's so nice that he has a second chance, and it does seem like he was meant for us. He's 5 now. We've had him for 2 years, and we love him. We adopted him from the shelter here in New York City. Center for Animal Care and Control. Home, for me, and this definition, the definition of home has evolved over the years. Home used to just be shelter. A place I could sleep, eat, and have a roof over my head. Because before kids, my job was almost everything in my life. And so it didn't really matter how my home supported me. And then becoming a mom and being at home more and seeing the effect of an environment on the development of a person, 3 little people who are growing and learning and how the environment is or is not supporting them. Home is almost a feeling. It's almost an entity that's alive and supporting us and evolving and changing as our values and needs change and grow. So home is not about the walls I'm in, but what's happening inside the walls and how we're using those walls. And it's a space that can be a part, for me as a mom, part of the extended village. And it almost feels like it has a soul. It has, even if I moved, all the stuff I've designed and curated, I think reflect the story of who I am and where I've come from, and really kind of can encapsulate the layers of life and what season of life I'm in. I don't think it's a stationary thing that's just frozen and is what it is. That's why I like the flexibility. I'm forced to think with being in a small space. I don't hold on to anything. It's constantly growing, the home that is, as my kids grow, and it's constantly changing. And my closet once stored my clothes and my outfits for going out. Now it's my home closet. One is a cubby, another closet is a cubby, another closet is toy storage, and that might change over time, but I like that home for me is a place that you can design and lean on to support you best in life.
Well, hey, Homeworthy. I'm Megan. Welcome to my home in Radnor, Pennsylvania. Why don't you come on in and I'll show you around.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
I'm Megan Mullen. I am a content creator in the fashion and beauty arena. I've been doing it for about a year and a half, although I've been a fashion lover since I was probably 5 years old. I live in the suburbs of Philadelphia on the main line. Live in a home that is about 20 years old. My style for interiors is, I would say, traditional, but with a touch of whimsy, fun. There's always a twist. I think it kind of mirrors my fashion aesthetic as well in that regard. This is my foyer. This is the first area you see when you come into my home. A couple of things I'd love to share with you. This artwork over here is done by my husband. I had seen this montage in Nantucket, or at least something similar, and I loved it. And he said, oh, I can make that. And a few months later he did. And it's because I loved those little conversation hearts that you get at Valentine's Day. I love the pastels, their hearts, just makes me happy. These are old Biedermeier chairs that were in my husband's family for ever and ever, and I just recovered them. And then over here I just have a combination, or a collection rather, of a lot of different chinoiserie pieces. I love the blue and white, and then the pop of pink. I love pink, as you'll see throughout the house. These lampshades make me so happy. They're by a company called Sorella Glen. They're a female-owned. Two moms decided to kind of just go out on their own, and I don't know, I just love them. They make me super happy. I just recently bought this at a thrift store in Bryn Mawr. I've been looking for something round, and you'd think it would be easy to find, but of course it wasn't until I literally saw this outside the store. It wasn't even in the store. They were getting ready for it, and I just thought it would be the perfect spot to kind of put something bright and colorful in the center. I love candles. I always have them going to kind of camouflage the scent of my animals. I'm super cognizant of that, so I think this kind of just suits the space nicely. And then the light fixture here is by Visual Comfort, I believe, and it's classical. It's just a good piece without being too fussy. I don't like anything too fussy. So when we were buying this home specifically, my husband and I had very different ideas about things, as you know, couples sometimes do. I wanted an old home with the charm and the moldings and a ton of character, and he was like, all he saw were dollar signs of repairs that, you know, could possibly happen. So when we came upon this home, we just fell in love with all of the millwork and some of the details. The outdoor patio was really special. We loved that as well, and we could just kind of envision ourselves being here for a while. Guys, this is the room that you probably recognize the most and see, because I typically film a lot of my OOTDs in here, not only because I love it, but also because it usually is clean. So that just saves me a lot of work. And speaking of OOTDs, I may as well share with you all what I have on today. These old jeans from Mother. I know, I'm sorry. I should have worn something that you can all buy, but I have found them on Poshmark, which I'll get to later. My sweater is the Oxblood Cashmere from Tuckernuck. Love this. And then my jacket is Goop. Really love this. Probably should have sized up, but I took off the tag, so here we are. And let's see, my bracelet stack is from my mother, my grandmother, my husband, and some Jenny Bird bangles in there as well. And then my necklaces are MB Styles, Cezanne, and Bernard. And that's it. That is it. So the most asked question, believe it or not, is not about my jewelry or my outfit. Most of the time, it is about these leopard chairs. And I know I touched on this earlier, but I may as well say it again because it bears repeating. People ask me where I bought them, how can they get them, etc., etc. I did these about 10 years ago, found them not on the side of the road, but at like a dilapidated store. They were completely mismatched. If you look underneath, you can see how old the legs are, but it didn't matter because they were the same height, and I had a vision for what I wanted to do, which was this leopard concept, which I know seems a bit out there, but I love it. As I said, they were the same height, so that made things really easy. Just added a skirt, and that's it. And they're in great shape, and they're so super comfortable. My favorite thing to do when I am on like a very good path of living is to get up at 5 a.m. I read that book, The 5 a.m. Club, and it really changed my perspective on things. I'm not implementing any of the strategies or tools right now, so do as I say, not as I do. But when I am in that frame of living, I love to come down here in the morning, say some prayers, sit in front of the fire. Sometimes I even just kind of look at my phone a little bit. It's really just to decompress, get my mind right before the day begins. The other question I get so often is about this guy in the painting. People always want to know, who's the guy? Well, this is an old opera singer, and something you may not know about me is that I was actually a voice major in college, just for a year. But I did grow up singing opera, and I was classically trained. So this is a piece that my husband had before we even got married. The fireplace I painted black almost within 5 minutes of moving in. I just had this vision of wanting to do this for whatever reason, and I don't know, I just love it. It makes a statement. These were sourced from a consignment store called the Velvet Shoestring, as was this table. Oh gosh, there's a specific name for the style. It's from the 1970s. I think it's called like a Mastercraft table. I just love it. I think it blends in perfectly with this room. This is a French style couch sofa that has been recovered about 3 times, and I think this is what we're sticking with for the time being. It's not very comfortable, but it suits the room. It's a little bit more formal, obviously. These are baccarat vases, and I love the drapes in here, the emerald green. I just love emerald green and the leopard together. I just think that's one of my favorite combos in fashion as well. And just added a little tassel trim, brass hardware up there, which ties into the table as well as the mirror. The pink lamp, I love it. It makes me happy. It's just a pop of color, again with the pink, what can I say? And then also these bookshelves. This was also one of my first projects upon moving in, because do you remember that show? It was on Bravo. It was one of the first decorating shows, I swear. I think it was called like $1 Million Decorators. It was with Mary McDonald, who's amazing, and Martin Bullard, I think that's his last name, yikes. And I remember seeing him color coordinate these books on bookshelves and thinking, I would love to do that one day. And so that's what we did. We collected a ton of books, and yes, we've read most of these. Some of the other ones were just random ones from the basement, but we just color coordinated them, stacked them up, and then placed little trinkets that we've been collecting throughout whoever knows when, where, and tried to match it up, and I like it. At some point, I may want to put some sort of textured wallpaper maybe behind here and cover up the holes, but for now, this is what it is. This piece of artwork here was procured, I believe, down at the beach when we used to have a beach house. There was an antique store down there, and I loved it because it was a beach theme. The rug is from Stark Carpets. I always have a candy dish. That's something else to note, again, with the whimsy and the fun. I just love the colors, and you always need a little sugar kind of going throughout the day. And I'm not supposed to talk food in my mouth, so I'm going to end right here. Bye. Okay guys, I also really love this room. This is our dining room, another pink room. I know my husband is a saint for allowing me to do this. I don't really know how I've gotten away with it, but I have. And I love this because this is where we gather for special occasions. And Thanksgiving I host here every year with my family. We do birthdays, and it's a great spot to be, especially because you can see the fire. And the pink really casts a beautiful light upon everyone when the lights are down, the candles are lit. It's really pretty. One of the other reasons why this is my favorite room is because I love these windows. Every friend I've had who's a decorator tells me to put drapes on them, and I refuse because I just love the way they look. Recently, I added these plates. These are rose medallion. The dogs were roughhousing, as they do, recently, and knocked this one off the wall, of course, yesterday. Figures, right before you guys are coming, so we glued it back together, and that is that, so that works out. These two ginormous pieces of art are from Janine McGuire, my friend Erin, who I always talk about, who has incredible taste. This is her mother. She is an awesome painter, and the scale of these really suited the room. These lamps are Mary McDonald for visual comfort, I believe. And the sideboard I also bought at the Velvet Shoestring, giving them a lot of shout outs, in Wayne. Again, it's a consignment store, secondhand. Never ever be afraid to go check out these consignment stores because they are a treasure trove of possibilities, and also it's nice to have a unique piece that is something not everybody else has. So I love that. And then this here is just an old china closet. I think my husband had it before we were even together. I always say I'm going to replace it and still have yet to do that, but it does house all of our wedding china and our crystal, and these are all of the things that I use to do the table when we have guests. This is a really fabulous still life. I don't know too much else about that other than I'm always amazed when I stare at it how you could get the spoon so perfect. This is just, usually has a flower or an orchid in it, doesn't today. I love to collect old vintage champagne buckets and then not only use them for champagne, but flowers as well. So I would say I don't do as much entertaining as I would like, especially in this room. Every time we eat in here, my husband and I say, why don't we eat in here more often? Or why don't we have more dinner parties? So it's always on our list, but when we do entertain in here, it just feels like everything. It's warm, it's inviting, you just feel like you're home. And that's always the feeling I want to have. Something you may not know about me is I am not above a fantastic eBay find, and I'm almost positive that is where I sourced this light fixture from, this chandelier. When we first moved in, I knew I wanted something grand, and this serves the bill, that's for sure. At Christmas time, I'll hang little vintage ornaments from here, and it looks so pretty. And again, with the pink walls, when the lights are dimmed and the candles are lit, it just gives like an ethereal glow to everyone's face, which is really fun. I fell into this content creation world, literally I fell into it. My girls were begging and begging for TikTok. I finally acquiesced. However, I had to know what in the heck was going on that Wild Wild West platform. So I decided to kind of get on there. My moniker is not my Instagram handle. And I just was 1000% myself, and I started sharing what I was wearing. I got to put some things to music, and I was just having fun and not caring at all what anybody else thought. And then when it started to gain traction, I thought, well, maybe I will put it over on Instagram. But I was initially kind of scared because I was worried what other people would think, honest to God. And after a while, you just get over it. You realize life is so short. As long as you're being kind, you're not offending anybody, and it's just fun, why not share what you love with everyone? Okay, so in between the dining room and the kitchen is this fun little butler's pantry, and I wanted to show it to you because I love the wallpaper so much. This is by Meg Braff, and I think she even has it in her butler's pantry. I saw it in a magazine or something, and it was kind of on my Pinterest board as something I always wanted to use. This is where I make my coffee every morning, where I get my rosé at night, and just keep our glasses there. And I have another fun piece of art from Janine McGuire right there, again with the lavender and the blues together. It's just really pretty. Oh, and then I should also note these gates to keep all the bad boys in and confined were custom done by a local woodmaker or contractor. And if you have to have gates, they should at least be pretty. So now I'd love to show you my kitchen, so follow me. So this kitchen was actually a complete gut renovation after we were here for about a year. Everything was brown and black and mustard and a lot of wallpaper, which I love wallpaper, but it just wasn't exactly my style. We took everything down to the studs, repainted the cabinetry, added new hardware, did some marble on the countertops and the backsplash, and it's basically the heart of the home, as most kitchens tend to be. We do homework here, we eat here, we laugh here, we drink here, we play games, we argue, we negotiate, all the things, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So this piece up here, of course, it's pink and green, my favorite, with a little touch of black. I loved this. It's by a local artist. Her name is Maureen Boyd. Love that piece. Over here, this piece, I just was drawn to the colors. I actually found this on Etsy and then just had it framed. And then if you pivot to this back wall, I framed a bunch of artwork that my girls had done when they were little. For example, like this was done by my daughter when she was 2.5. My husband sketched that little Marilyn Monroe. The rest were just done at school or art class. And I can remember each and every moment when they either brought this home or did it at the kitchen table. So I love a memory wall like that. And then again, the touch of fun and whimsy. I've always wanted a bubblegum machine. I think I even had one in my bedroom growing up. It didn't last long, as those sorts of things do in childhood bedrooms. But so when we moved in here, I was determined to get my gumball machine. So another thing that I really love in this kitchen is this light fixture. This light fixture is one from Visual Comfort. I'm not certain that they make it anymore, but they have one that's very similar. But what I love about this is that I swapped out the shades. I was really, when we redid the kitchen, I was really debating about doing 2 pendants like you see nowadays, but I didn't want it to look like everybody else's, so I kept what I had and just worked with the girls from Sorella Glen. They're also the women who did the pink shades in the foyer. And we picked a fabric and we put them on there, and I couldn't love it more because it's different, but still within my aesthetic. Never be afraid to kind of just think outside the box with design, with interiors, with fashion, with anything, and try it. And if it doesn't work, who cares? Who cares? Move on, and you can change it later. And now I'll take you into the breakfast room, which I don't really know why it's called the breakfast room because we always eat breakfast at the island, but at any rate, here we are. I recently refreshed this room. I purchased this rug. I love a Turkish rug. This is from a consignment shop in Wayne, a great store right in town. Put it on top of an Amazon rug just to give it kind of a layered look. I had had this table for a while. It's from Restoration Hardware, as are the chairs. And I just actually swapped out some of the chairs to give it a little bit more dimension. I think I found these, I think Home Goods, but don't quote me on that. I'm not really sure. But I have to say I'm a little bit proud of this little trick that I did because I hadn't had any drapes or window treatments in here at all. I just wanted to keep it open and airy, but I felt like it needed something. So I found these actually on Amazon. Yes, you heard that correctly. And then I picked out this tape trim with the help of my friend Erin. I believe it's Schumacher, but I'd have to double check on that. Had my seamstress just sew it on, and it gives it such an elevated look. And it's an affordable option just to dress up your space. This light fixture I also love. It kind of the brass ties in with the hardware in the kitchen, and it is from a company called Lighting New York. They have an amazing selection of light fixtures, so I love that. And what also is nice about this room is that it gives you a window into the second most used room in our home, which is the family room. So I've never worked really hand in hand with an interior designer. So when other people ask me, how did you do your home or what's a good place to start, I would say to do something that I did not do. And I kind of wish I had, because going forward, as I was doing other rooms, I was kind of chasing my tail a bit. So to retreat back to what I was saying, if you can pick a color scheme first and foremost, say like 3 colors that you want to kind of weave in throughout your home, I feel like you can get a very cohesive look that way. Even if you don't know what you're doing, if you stick to a color palette initially, I think it just lends a sense of kind of knowing what you are doing, even if you don't. And the last part of this area of the house, really this is the main area where we all live and play and etc., is the family room, the great room. It's a cozy spot. It's bright, it's colorful. You know, I'm not going to say my husband loves it, but it is what it is. I love it. I love a really comfortable, deep sofa where you can fit a ton of people. We all fight for the corner spot. Just some really comfy pillows, and I literally can't. I don't know who says this more, myself or my daughter. Fun acrylic table. This here, this Louis Vuitton tray was found, oh gosh, where did we get that? My husband bought it for me for a gift. I think it was Valentine's Day when we were dating, or I don't remember, but I always love this. I always say I'm going to change it out, and I never do. But it's fun to kind of play with accessories and whatnot on here for the holidays. These chairs were recently recovered. They have been recovered, I would say about 3 times now, because the boys, meaning the dogs, love to sit on them, roughhouse in here. It makes me insane in the membrane, if I'm being honest, but that's my life. So my friend Erin helped me pick a fabric that was more favorable for animals and children and dirt, and you can kind of just wipe it on off. And we added this fabulous bullion fringe from Samuel & Sons. Really, really fun little twist to it. Over here, it's just a bow front chest that has seen better days, I'm afraid. It could really use a recovering, but I carried over the theme of the blue and white chinoiserie. And at Christmas, I have a Santa collection that I will stack all different heights, and that's fun. And put a Santa hat on the animals on the walls. And then the artwork over here, this is our favorite piece in the entire house. It's by Fred Wagner. This is the piece that if the house is on fire, we get the kids out, the animals, and then we come back for this. It's one of those moody sorts of paintings that you can really sit here and get lost in. And we keep saying we're going to get some sort of an eyeball light to go down on these pieces, but you know, we haven't done that yet. The most hated chairs in the entire house are these fun floral chairs that I've loved this fabric forever. My grandmother had, it's an old Dorothy Draper print that they brought back. My grandmother had this print in her house, and then a friend of mine had it as well. I saw it, it reminded me of my grandmother, and I thought, I need to redo it. These chairs are so super comfortable. They're actually from Cherish. They looked quite different, and then I recovered them. We are also huge music people. My girls played the violin for years and years and years, hoping to get them back into it. My other daughter is self-taught on the piano. I used to play the piano. My husband plays the guitar, and music is just a really, really important part of our lives. And then the disgusting crates that hopefully you're not going to show, but that's just life. And a good old Miss Pac-Man machine. It's just fun to play and challenge each other, and I just loved this sort of thing growing up. So again, just a little bit of fun, whimsy, and sometimes it's a conversation piece as well. So these drapes are like a heavy, I think it's like a Dutch silk. They're a silk fabric. Dorothy Draper, I believe. And when I did these, I thought to myself, what did I do? It's quite feminine, as you can see, but here we are. And now I like them. And I added these plates recently. I sourced these from an antique store a little further west. And I don't know, I love plates, I love it. Some people think they're old-fashioned, I think they're fun. Pink and green again. I do love some pink and green, what can I say? And the light fixture up top here was an IKEA find, and I just spray painted it gold. We laid out all the pieces flat and just sprayed and sprayed and sprayed, because initially when I bought it, it was white, and I always knew it was not going to remain white. I always knew I would paint it gold, which I did. My fashion style, if I were to describe it, it's, I would say, classic, a little elevated, but overall fun. And I think that when you go through my home, you get that sense as well. For example, I combine traditional pieces, you know, wood furniture, but with pops of pink or pastel or fun art. So I just love the juxtaposition of it all. And it just, above all else, I think it just says that I don't take myself too seriously. When I have friends over or family, I want people to feel warm and see that we're just a fun family. Okay, now I'm going to take you upstairs and show you my daughter's bedrooms because we've recently given them a little refresh because they're in their teenage years now. So come on and I'll show you some of that. Okay, so before we head into my daughter's rooms, I just wanted to take a moment to kind of share this little nook with you. I love this window seat. I didn't make, but somebody else made this cover cushion for it. It overlooks our patio, which we love to spend a lot of time out on. I have these 2 paintings here, which I had intended to hang, and I will hopefully get to it later on. Oh, I'm going to put them on the walls here, I think, but I'm not sure. So, you know, in design, things are they're never finished. And then this painting, I get a lot of questions about as well. This was an heirloom from my husband's side of the family. This used to reside in our beach home. And then when we decided to part ways, we brought this along with us, and it's just a beautiful piece. All right, so let's go check out over here. Okay, I wanted to share with you now my eldest daughter's bedroom. This is Barrett's room. We recently refreshed this, and I'm really happy with the way it's come along so far. I picked a wallpaper from Meg Braff. I love Meg Braff. I have another paper of hers downstairs. So we did that, and then I matched the drapes, which I'll show you in a minute, to the wallpaper. I picked this photo because it's also in Gossip Girl, which is one of her favorite shows. And so she had seen this and said, oh, wouldn't it be great if we could get a really large version? And so we found that and did that. It's just an IKEA dresser that I switched out the hardware for. Kind of elevates that look as well. This here is just a baby chair, you know, a nursing chair, I think is what they actually call them, from my other daughter's room that I recovered. And then I wanted to add some color also to the walls, and just found these prints actually on Amazon and got some IKEA frames, and I also love the way that looks. Fun. All like kind of a beach theme. And then the drapes, as I mentioned, the fabric matches the wallpaper, and this is Meg Braff, who's an amazing, amazing designer and decorator. Oh, this bed actually was mine growing up. It's an antique old wrought iron bed. We keep saying we're going to repaint it, but I kind of like all the chips because it gives it some character. Oh, and these lamps are also Robert Abbey, similar to the pink one downstairs. And then this here, I made with I designed and somebody else made it, let's be clear. Our old painter, Dale, did this when Barrett was a baby, and I just love it. I can't remember what it's called. It's not a diorama, it's not a shadow box, something along those lines. And these are just all really cute little mementos of her, you know, growing up. And then this chair, this chair is what put me over the edge in terms of needle pointing. I stitched this when I was pregnant with my second daughter. As I said, I haven't done too much else following that in the world of needlepoint, but it's really adorable. And I still can picture her little face sitting there with like her juicy cup when she was a toddler, and I love that. And the light fixture is just another great IKEA find right over here. It's just cute and fun. Lightweight also. Her desk actually is from a great store in Dallas called Madre Dallas. They're another group of girls who have exceptional taste, and we saw this on the website and ordered it away. Let's see what else. So she kind of uses this as a desk vanity hybrid. Just a fun mirror from Ballard. And I guess what we'll do now is head over to Cricket's room, who is my other daughter. So come on. Okay, now we're in my younger daughter's room. Her name is Maeve Kathleen, although we call her Cricket. It's a long story, it's not that interesting. What I will say is when we started to give this room a refresh, what really precipitated everything was this fabulous fabric here by Megan Adams. I love this so much. The periwinkle with the lavender kind of just really got my creative juices flowing, which is why we added the ceiling color, kind of just brings it together. These pillows here are just from Home Goods and they work as well. This fabric is also Megan Adams, and this here is just like a memory board. It's magnetic. We've had this in this room since she was a baby, and we just put all sorts of photos on here. This desk also kind of is a hybrid between a desk and a vanity. Don't look too close, it's dirty. This is a softball sock because she is a softball player. And also this fabric here from the curtains is Megan Adams. This piece of art is the first piece of art I ever bought. I love it. It's just, why can't we all get along? It's world peace, essentially, and I love that. And that was part of her old nursery, and I just love it. I may paint it going forward, not quite sure yet. My other favorite piece here is this giant Smarties, again with the candy. The conversation hearts, the candy bowl, the Smarties. This was bought at an old children's store, and it's been in here for a while. I love it. Yeah, it's so cute. And then just same thing on her bureau. I put these disco balls on top of these vases to give it just a fun element, fun little mirror, Hollywood vibes, and a vintage rattan headboard. Perfect little spot for a 13-year-old, if I do say so myself. So home to me is everything. It means family, it means laughter, it means acceptance. Just above all else, a place where you can be yourself. You don't have to put on pretense or airs, and it's above all, it's love and laughter.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.